Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I apologize because it's been a while from filming the first bit of content to content now. We are doing a major renovation at our home and it has proven to cut into some of my filming space. So right now we are in a different room, so the lighting might not be great, and for that I apologize, but hopefully the content makes it worth it. So without further ado, I'm Jennifer Queen with the Jennifer Queen team here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I am a realtor and I am a team leader here. I have a team of 5 full-time real estate agents, 2 full-time admin, and a couple part-time admins in there as well. And on average, our team sells well over 200 homes every year, with myself personally selling actually close to 100 of those. So we're a busy team and I keep getting questions from newer agents entering the business, just wanting to know how to become a successful realtor. So I just thought I would start this channel with that in mind, trying to give some pieces of tidbits and information that will help you get started in your real estate journey. I should add, nothing that I do is ever a secret, so feel free to call, text, email me, whatever you prefer. If ever you have any questions, I'm happy to give advice. So don't feel like you can't reach out if you have a question, especially if there's something that I've left unanswered in one of these videos, or if there's a video you would like me to shoot on a topic. Just let me know in the comment section below, because that really helps me with what kind of content to come up with next. So today I wanted to talk about how we keep in touch with our clients, because there have been many studies that have come out. One recently from the National Association of Realtors that went into the statistics of people that say they would use their former realtor, which was 90% immediately following their transaction. People were happy with their realtor and 90% said they would use them again. However, fast forward a few years and these same people were polled and only 20% of them actually used their previous realtor. And the reasons why varied, but a lot of it came down to losing touch and, in all honesty, being out of sight, you're out of mind for your clients. So what we have developed within our team are ways to keep in constant contact with our clients. So I just wanted to give you some insights as to what we do that seems to be working for us, because we have a very high client retention rate on our team, and see if that can't work for you or if there aren't things that you can implement in your own business. Now, this channel is going to talk a lot about systems, processes, and streamlining your business so that everything is kind of systematized and easily run, and it almost runs itself. I know that takes away from some of the feel-good aspects of the business, but just think of systems like this as being a part of reminding you to reach out to people so that you don't lose those client connections. So my experience has been that you need to reach out to your clients around 2 to 3 times per month. And don't worry, I don't mean you have to pick up the phone and call them and have a long conversation with them. I know that is everybody's nightmare these days, but there should be at least around 30 touch points every year. There's some schools of thought that say 33, some schools of thought that say 36, but I honestly think reaching out to them 2 to 3 times per month is completely sufficient to keep you top of mind when it comes to them reaching out to buy, sell, or even give a referral for a family member or a friend. So just try and keep it to that 2 to 3. Of course, if you're doing more, great, as long as it's not annoying them. You're gonna have to kind of fiddle around with this in your own business and see what essentially works for you. But essentially what we're trying to do is buy that mental headspace within their minds so that they are never forgetting you when the time comes. Okay, so you ask, how do we get to 30 without being annoying telemarketers calling them every month? And it doesn't have to be these complicated things that you think. The first and easiest method to reach out to your clients without being too aggressive, but reminding them that you're a professional and still in the business, in my opinion at least, is to do a monthly newsletter. So this can be digital or it can be print, it can be both. We have elderly clients that still don't have email addresses, so they get the paper copies delivered to them. There are clients that, of course, prefer email for everything, so they get that. Now, content that you're putting within your newsletter is important. Now, I want you to be thinking about your client avatar. So this is something I can delve into on another video, what a client avatar is and how to create one. But essentially, what you're trying to speak to is your target market. So for instance, We target a lot of families. We advertise as a team of families helping families. That is our mode. A lot of our clientele as a result are young families, oftentimes just starting out, looking to kind of upgrade to their next home as their family and needs grow. So as a result of that, a lot of our newsletter content focuses on topics that we think would be of value to those clients. So some examples would be the best places to go berry picking this summer, what the costs are, those sorts of things. Kind of giving helpful lists. We are still establishing somewhere within that newsletter that we are the expert on real estate, so we'll have a quick blurb about the market, perhaps a few statistics, our interpretation of those statistics. Interpretation is very important. People don't care about the statistics so much as they care about what it actually means for them. So kind of making it relatable for the client. Another bonus that we often do, and businesses and families seem to love it, is we will get a discount code for a local business. So say $5 coupon at this ice cream store. Things like that go a long way. People appreciate it. We have a very low unsubscribe rate on our newsletters. And that already puts us up to 12 points of contact of those 30 right off the hop, and people see value in those newsletters and they often send us a thank you after we send those out. The next thing we do, and it's easy and not sleazy and people really appreciate it, is every time a client comes into our database, at least in Canada, we are required to record their ID, and as part of that recording we have their birthday already. And then of course, as you're showing them homes or helping them sell their own home, there's the natural rapport you should be building as well. So figuring out kids' birthdays, figuring out when their anniversary is or what matters to them, those sorts of things kind of open the door for you to reach out to them in the future. So some examples would be in our CRM. We use LionDesk, but of course there's many CRMs out there that'll track the same information for you. What we do is we record their birthday, we record their home ownership anniversary. If we know of a wedding anniversary, we'll record that. If we know kids' birthdays, we'll record those. Even pet birthdays, pet names, those sorts of things are all saved in our database. And then we set tasks so that we remember to reach out to them on those important days. So if you think about it, usually it's 2 people buying a home. They'll have a home ownership anniversary. That's 2 to 3 additional reach outs just for a couple. Of course, there can be far more depending on the intel you gather as part of that process. Another thing that we're usually doing as we're doing these client intakes and forming these relationships is getting them added on our social media accounts so that we can also kind of keep track of important life events for them and record them in our CRM as well. Big Brother is definitely watching. So with that, we've got an additional 2 to 3 touch points. You're almost at 15 already. Now, another thing we do annually, at least annually, and if you're a newer agent, you can do this far more frequently than we do, and I think people would appreciate it, especially in a market that's rapidly changing like one we're in right now, is we will send our clients updates on what we feel their current home value is. So a past buyer buying a home, maybe it's a year later, of course they probably don't intend to sell, statistically at least, within that first year, but it's still something that people are curious about. There are reasons that websites like Zillow are so interesting for people coming out of the States, because they want to know what their home is worth. It's just a piece of curiosity for them. So we will oftentimes send an annual report out to them. This is again something that I am reminded to do through my CRM. Each client has task lists sent. So sometimes I will batch them and do a bunch all at once, but I usually try and spread it out so that I do a couple a day kind of thing and kind of not get inundated with having to do them. However, if you're a newer agent and you don't have that much of a client base yet, it never hurts to do them more frequently. I would say no more than quarterly. That's probably overkill even, but twice a year, especially in a market that's changed like the one here in Winnipeg in 2022, they would really find that information useful. Now, don't make it sleazy, please. Don't be like, buy or sell. Just say something to the effect, or at least this is what I do. I say something to the effect of, I just wanted to keep you apprised of the current market conditions, as the market has been incredibly volatile this year. I use the word volatile a lot actually in these reports this year. Or I've also just said all over the place too. So I'm saying it as a professional, just keeping you informed of where your home sits on the market. Just keep in mind that process is time intensive. So if there's a way for you to systematize it so that you will continue to do it, that's what's important. The next thing we like to do are what some of the bigger companies such as Buffini & Co. call pop buys. And essentially they're porch drops. So what we would like to do, like 4 times a year, ideally, like I think quarterly is the exact right amount of time, is reach out to those clients that we have loved working with and want to continue to work with, or work with people similar to them, because like attracts likes. So if these clients found you to be a really good realtor, hopefully they'll refer you to their friends as a future realtor. What we do is we actually drive out to clients' homes and deliver little gifts throughout the year. Nothing too expensive. Like in all honesty, I think you can keep the bulk of these pop buys under $5 a door, but it's usually just something that is relevant and helpful. So keeping in mind that we work a lot with families. Oftentimes what we do in the fall months would be trick-or-treat bags or buckets. Sometimes we do put a little bit of branding in there, but not obnoxious branding. Like people don't want it to be all about you. They want to know that you actually just drop by to be helpful, maybe with a few treats, a little treat bag in there just to get them started for Halloween. Or like sidewalk chalk in the summer, just cute little sayings. If you guys want some more pop-by ideas, let me know. I can shoot a whole video on this. Like I have hundreds of ideas for pop-bys. If we could do them every day of the year, I probably have enough ideas to fill a calendar. So if you want a few ideas, let me know, because I'm happy to create those, but that's just to give you an idea of what we personally do. Of course, if you're targeting, say, investors, perhaps it would be something a little bit different that you would do. Perhaps it would be like goal setting books in January so that they can plan out their year. There's something that everybody would appreciate, so you just got to target these pop buys to them. And again, I think for that, 4 times a year or so is the ideal. Just for those realtors that are starting out too, pop buys don't necessarily have to be to your existing client base. If you want to farm a small area, like say of 100 homes, and just start doing regular pop buys, these have a huge impact. These are much more appreciated, I find, than say a flyer. And also I have found as well, the amount of interaction we have on social media when we do these pop buys is pretty substantial. So people are sharing about it, oftentimes on a neighborhood page, and it kind of puts you top of mind. So it's just a useful tip to use. It is obviously more expensive than ad mail, but definitely a greater impact. And especially if you're capable of being consistent at it over a long period of time, definitely worthwhile. Now I hope this next topic isn't too polarizing, but I will tell you my opinion on it. And of course, if you feel differently, all the power to you. You don't have to love what I have to say, and everybody can do their own thing. I honestly couldn't care. You do you, boo. But every year around the holidays, we send out either a Merry Christmas or a Happy Holidays card. I personally have never been, I'm not Jewish, but I've never been offended by somebody who wished me a happy Hanukkah. They are clearly wishing me well and giving positive vibes my way, and I feel the same. I hope that my clients receive it the same if I'm wishing them a happy holiday season. So every year we send out these cards. What I like to do is kind of get them printed late summer. I know that's kind of crazy. There is usually some kind of team logo on it, perhaps a picture. We had a team picture with Santa just recently. That was on the last holiday card we sent out. And then a handwritten note, kind of just wishing them and their family a very happy holiday season or Merry Christmas, if you know that's what they celebrate. But yeah, and I start like usually writing 5 or so of those per day. And so oftentimes I start that fairly early, like in September, just because of the amount of people I send them to. But I also have had days where I just sat on the couch, watched Christmas movies, and wrote these cards out for an entire day. What's important is they get done. So however you can structure that in your own schedule is the best. A lot of the time I find I do 5 a day and then have one of those sit down days to just kind of finish them all and be done with them, because it is a lot of writing. But I think what's important in those cards is writing a personalized message so that your client knows you were thinking of them specifically, not just signing your name at the bottom of a generic Merry Christmas wish. Okay, now here is where people struggle, I find the most. But in addition to this card, which is personalized and targeted to them directly, you still have to kind of insert some touch points that are much more personalized to your client throughout the year. Nothing too crazy. You're wishing them happy birthdays, happy anniversaries. The Porsche drops mean you were at their home and clearly thinking about them. But there should be a few more touch points where you're directly interacting with your client. So I would say 3 to 4 per year, direct texts or even emails or calls. All the power to you if you're doing the calls. I admit that there are days I don't feel like making phone calls, so a text is easier, or even an email. But these should be intentionally sent to your client about something specific happening in their life or something that you would feel is relevant to them. So for instance, I have clients who are huge Toronto Maple Leafs fans. We actually gave them tickets to the game, but then it was just a matter of following up to see how the game went, and then a few weeks later kind of heckling them. We had that relationship about how the Leafs were performing. Or for instance, I had clients whose child just graduated from kindergarten, and I saw that on social media because I follow them, so I wished them a happy graduation for their child and asked how things were going, right? Like, it's things like that that give you a reason to reach out without being sleazy. And some think you need to say or do things like end the conversation with, by the way, if you know of anybody looking to buy or sell, feel free to give me their name. I have never ended my conversations that way, and I get a ton of referrals. So I don't feel that's necessary. I think that they just want to know that you care and that they weren't just a transaction in your mind, and just reaching out to them these 3 to 4 times directly through the year go a long way. And just them knowing that you take interest. Now, something to keep in mind too, though, is the Facebook and Instagram algorithms. So some of our reach outs are actually scheduled through our CRM again, because if I haven't interacted with this client for 3 months, then they might not be popping up on my feed necessarily. The stats are that you only see about 7% of your community's posts. So having that CRM remind you to check on their page, see if there's any well wishes you can send them, kind of gets that interaction going again, especially if the algorithm has lost them. And believe it or not, with those touch points, we're already up to 25 or 26 touch points in 1 year. The last thing I'm going to tell you is something that is going to make you nervous, and I totally get why. I am always nervous to do these events too, but it is client appreciation events. In all honesty, if you could do 2 a year, I think you would be crushing it. We usually do 2 a year, although COVID obviously has thrown those stats quite off, but it is so worth it. So for us, again, our avatar are younger families looking to move up to their next home, sell a home, buy a home kind of thing. So a lot of what we do is targeted to people with younger children. So our last client event, we rented out a movie theater. We actually had movies playing for young kids, but we also had a slightly older demographic. I think there was like some kind of scary movie perhaps, I can't remember. It was probably like an action movie that was appropriate for people with kids 13 to 21 kind of thing. So we had a few theaters rented out, but I think about 60 to 70% of the clientele were in the younger movie theater, and then about the remaining 30 to 40 were in the older movie theater. And then what we had at the end in a separate room was pictures with Santa, as well as Anna and Elsa from Disney for all the young kids that were there to interact with. So this event in and of itself is one touch point, but you also have to keep in mind that there's the invite that goes out. So you send them either hard copy or a digital version. We do both because, again, there's some clients that don't have emails or just, would rather receive an invite that they can fold out and put on their fridge. And then there's some that just prefer the e-invites because they're all online now. So either's fine, just have both options. So the invitation counts as another touch point. Then when these people were coming and taking these pictures with their family with Santa or Anna and Elsa, we had a professional photographer there taking these pictures, who then sent us all of them at the end, who we could then give the pictures out to each individual family. Some people even use these for their Christmas cards. So kudos to you if you're doing this early enough in the year that they can have these pictures and use them, because that even goes further if people say, where were you doing this picture of Santa? So then we would send out those pictures, or we would send out a thank you, or we would even send out a sorry you couldn't make it kind of message to those that couldn't. And with doing 2 client events like that, or even just doing 1 and just stretching out all those touch points, you're already at 30 for the year. if you can believe it. So people often ask me the cost of these events, and I don't think, in all honesty, we've done one that costs less than $5,000, but I have to tell you, the return has always been like at least 500 to 600%. I have had clients that I lost touch with in my early days of realtoring that I was kind of like embarrassed and couldn't figure out a way to reach back out to them. And then I thought, you know what, why don't I send them an invite to this? And guess who showed up? They showed up and they continued to refer us and said, we're so sorry. Like, we didn't even think of you when we sold our last home. And guess who's now sold 2 additional homes for them? This guy. So it is important to keep in touch with clients because I've experienced firsthand just the damage of not keeping in touch with people. But the impact that these client events have is so substantial that it's well worth the expense. And I admit it's terrifying. We have a fairly large database in our team, and even so, I still always fear that nobody's going to show up for these things, but people always do. If you're really nervous, we did an RSVP system in our last few so that we knew how many were coming and how much to prepare for. So you could always set something up like that so that there aren't any last minute surprises. Also, guys, just keep in mind that there are very few realtors out there that do client events. In Winnipeg, at least, where we're a population of, I think, around 2,000 agents now, I can only think of 3 that I'm aware of in addition to myself that actually do these client appreciation events. And I can tell you these other realtors that I can think of are at the top of their game. They are top producers for large offices. So it is well worth the expense. Another one that we do, I talked a lot about this movie theater one, but mums and mimosas. So for people with younger kids that want to go to play groups, set up kind of a play group for all the young mums with kids kind of thing in perhaps a center or somewhere where you can bring a couple bouncy castles, have mimosas for the moms, have childminders watching the kids and keeping them busy and entertained so that the moms can just get together, chat, and kind of unwind while the kids go crazy in the background. That one is always well received by the moms. I've also seen things like skating parties, pictures in a pumpkin patch or an orchard, things at Amazing Corn in the fall. There's all kinds of things. Also, if you're concerned about hosting something and people not showing up, another option could be a giveaway at your office where you essentially invite a bunch of people to, say, come pick up a pumpkin pie or an apple pie at Thanksgiving for free, and then you just be there to hand them out. A little less pressure that way, just interact briefly with the client. Or even a food drive to encourage people to come out, bring food kind of thing, but as a feel good, and then there's the opportunity to reach out and thank them after that as well. Or you can even offer to go pick up the food if you want, but it's just kind of organizing things to get the community together. So with that, you already have 30 touch points, which I think is sufficient to keep in touch with your client database and keep them coming back to you year over year. But just as a few additional items that we do, market updates. So not just an updated opinion of value on their existing homes, an update on the market, usually monthly, that we send out to some of our clients. Now think disc personalities, and again, disc personalities are something I can also expand upon in the future if that's of interest to people. But when it comes to the disc personalities, I've always found my clients that are high C, so think like accountants, think people that are super analytical, that really digest this information. They eat that information for breakfast. Obviously, you have to do this on a case-by-case basis, but that adds an additional 12 contacts through the year to these particular people. And sometimes the people that are super analytical don't want all the warm and fuzzies. So you just have to meet your clients where they're comfortable in terms of interaction. But that's one way that we do that with clients. Of course, they're still getting invited to the client events and everything, but they're probably less likely to show up. Also, if you haven't already, go back through your database of clients you've sold to in the past and add them on your social media. That is one of the most underutilized platforms that people use in terms of interacting with their clients. I still have clients I need to add on our social media, and it's on my to-do list, but it's a huge opportunity to show them that you're a professional, you're still in the business, and to show a bit of your personality, because people want to work with people they like. and that's a great way to establish just what it is that you are about. Another thing we often do that wasn't in this list are kind of just helpful tips, like reminders about the school zones being back in effect September 1st so that people aren't getting speeding tickets, or time change. Usually we send it something with humor about the time change because, again, everybody in our client base has young children, and so time change is very different when you have young kids, but we just send out kind of those reminders. So that alone is 3 additional touch points in the year. And that one is much more generic, to be honest. Like, it's usually sent through an email in our CRM, but it's something that we do. Think of other things though, like where are the best places to watch the fireworks July 1st in Canada, July 4th in the States, if you're watching from the States, those sorts of things. And then also, like I said before, offer to do a food drive, offer to do pickups, like just little things like that. There are so many ways you can reach out to people to show you care without being salesy. But what is important is that you are not being salesy. You are attracting clients because you are showing them that you care about contributing to them and to your community, and they want to be a part of that. That is what's important in all of these touch points, in my opinion at least. So if you found value in this video today, please hit that like button below. It really helps me in determining just what kind of content to come up with next time. And if you're new to this channel is still quite new, please be sure to hit that subscribe button, because I am solely creating this channel to add value to fellow new realtors who are trying to get their feet wet in the real estate business. I get nothing from this channel, but subscribing will help in allowing me to continue to grow this channel and hopefully continue to offer more videos such as this. And again, if you need to reach out, feel free to call me, text me, email me. My contact information is in the comment section below. Again, I am Jennifer Queen with the Jennifer Queen team and RE/MAX Professionals here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and I hope you found value in this video today. Thanks for watching.